But the fact that the ratings from Caitlin Clark's series to the series fell off a cliff, it should surprise no one.
I'm watching the Indiana Fever game. I'm just waiting on Caitlin Clark to catch the basketball.
Aya Wilson has expressed strong frustration over the noticeable decline in viewership following Caitlin Clark's departure from the playoffs.
I go out there and I'm going to try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great. It looks great. But I want to be the best person. I want to be the best teammate.
She went for an interview and said, "This year, I've heard more people call my game boring than ever before." Her response? Okay, cool, whatever. Aya Wilson has been vocal about the drop in viewership following Caitlin Clark's exit from the playoffs. Wilson seems to prefer playing with more freedom, without fans constantly scrutinizing the game, and that's exactly what she got once the Fever were eliminated. Interest in the playoffs faded fast.
The ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929,000, was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down,
Caitlin Clark's impact was undeniable. Once she was out of the playoffs, game after game saw a noticeable drop in viewership. While she sat at home watching it all unfold, you can't help but think she might be laughing at the chaos. The league had a chance to deliver the most watched playoff finals ever, but they let it slip away.
All I gotta say is she's lucky this UConn team isn't healthy. And that's a true statement.
That's wrong, Molly.
Monica?
That's wrong, Molly. Molly,
like
it's
five
excuses.
top players,
it's
am I
excuses,
right?
Molly. It's
Major
excuses.
injuries.
You would not be saying that if it wasn't UConn.
Major stars not playing.
Listen, excuse me,
go.
it's her against Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A.
Ain't no excuses.
Stephen
you
A.
got there.
Wait a
No, don't
minute.
want to hear that now.
Stephen A.
Let me tell you, if
Paige
Georgetown get
Beckers-
back in the mix, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm just telling you that now.
What?
If Paige Beckers didn't basically miss 2 seasons, I don't know if we'd be talking
Come on
about
now.
Caitlin Clark the way we are.
Now we're looking at a New York versus Minnesota Lynx final, and honestly, I couldn't name a single player on either team. This matchup is shaping up to have the worst viewership of the entire playoffs so far. How does the WNBA even let it come to this?
12 million people are watching ESPN for a game. If that game was on CBS, they probably would have had 25, 30 million people watching that.
The WNBA is clearly lost without Caitlin Clark. They tried hard to deny the Caitlin effect, insisting it wasn't real, but now, with every passing moment, it's becoming painfully obvious. Without Caitlin, the WNBA has slipped back into being nearly unwatchable.
We're not going to be seeing Caitlin Clark play basketball again for another 200 days. An ESPN reporter said at the end of the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun Game 2 that Caitlin Clark almost definitely will not be playing basketball this offseason. So no overseas and no 3-on-3 unrivaled.
Aya Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces have been a dominant force all season. Entering the playoffs as top contenders, many expected the Aces, with Aya leading the way, to make another run to the finals. But their semifinal matchup against the New York Liberty didn't go as planned. The Liberty, powered by their own stars, delivered a strong performance and eliminated the Aces, sending shockwaves through the WNBA community. With Las Vegas out, the league not only lost a championship favorite but also one of its biggest stars, further contributing to the decline in playoff excitement.
Caitlin Clark's the most valuable, most important person in the WNBA this year, and should have been unanimous rookie.
Winning the unanimous MVP title comes with high expectations from both fans and analysts. The MVP is expected to lead their team deep into the playoffs, ideally all the way to a championship. So when Aya Wilson and the Aces were eliminated, it didn't just end their title hopes, it stripped the playoffs of one of its biggest storylines. Wilson was meant to be the centerpiece of the finals, the player everyone would be watching. Now, she won't even get the chance to compete for the championship.
Respectful, but they talked a lot of trash and they got humbled. And I think that that's okay. That is sports. That is what we live for.
Caitlin Clark is a player who naturally commands attention. Her style of play is electric, and her ability to take over a game makes her one of the most thrilling athletes to watch in the WNBA. But when Clark and the Indiana Fever were eliminated by the Connecticut Sun, the playoffs lost a major part of their appeal. The energy and excitement that usually define WNBA postseason games seemed to fade. Without Clark, the matchups felt less intense, less captivating, and, for many fans, simply less enjoyable.
Like there isn't or hasn't been legitimate resentment emanating from those who are pioneers. Nobody's fooled here. You got pundits who used to play in the WNBA, some of them who didn't, and who were speaking on behalf of those who didn't want to create that kind of noise themselves. because of the negative impact. We talk about it when the men do it. If we detect jealousy, if we detect envy, if we detect resentment, and it's amongst the fellas, we put it out there. Shit, we act like it's the latest episode of General Hospital. But when the ladies are feeling that way about another young lady like Caitlin Clark, and people like myself and Shay Shay call it out, suddenly it's a problem.
The absence of a player like Caitlin Clark in the playoffs is more than just the loss of one athlete, it's the loss of an entire experience. Clark brings a rare mix of talent, charisma, and star power that captures attention from die-hard basketball fans and casual viewers alike. When she was eliminated, that magic disappeared. What remained was a postseason that felt flat and underwhelming. For the WNBA, it was a major blow. The playoffs are meant to be the pinnacle of the season, a time when the brightest stars shine and fans stay glued to their screens. Instead, without Clark, the playoffs have been described by many as dull, chaotic, and deeply disappointing.
Angel Reese had that injury to me, and also coming off of Olympic break, Caitlin Clark separated herself. Yeah. She should have been unanimous. Now to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists.
Following Caitlin Clark's exit, the WNBA experienced one of the most significant drops in viewership in its history. Fans who had been following the playoffs with excitement and anticipation suddenly lost interest. The numbers don't lie, the decline in viewership wasn't gradual, it was sharp and immediate, highlighting just how much of a draw Clark is for the league. Like any professional sports league, the WNBA relies heavily on viewership for success. Television ratings drive sponsorships, advertising revenue, and broadcasting deals. When the audience vanishes, so do the league's opportunities to grow. The drop in viewers after Clark's elimination is a clear signal of her importance to the WNBA's momentum and marketability. For many fans, the excitement of the playoffs was directly tied to Caitlin Clark's presence. Her ability to dominate games, make jaw-dropping plays, and elevate the energy on the court made her must-watch TV. Once she was gone, the spark faded. The game simply didn't hold the same appeal, and interest plummeted, a reality that was clearly reflected in the ratings. This decline cannot be overstated. The WNBA had been riding a wave of growing popularity, with more fans tuning in than ever before. But without Clark, that wave crashed. It's a drop that could carry long-term consequences if the league doesn't find a way to keep fans engaged without relying solely on its biggest stars. While many factors can influence viewership trends, it's clear that Clark's absence was the central cause of this sudden falloff. She's not just another player, she's a phenomenon. Her presence, her skill, and her ability to make every moment feel like a highlight reel are unmatched. When she's on the court, fans pay attention. She makes every game feel important, and that's something few athletes can do. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.